interpreter.
What threats do I think we face over the next 12 months? Where do you start? World War III obviously is, I think, on the block. Economic collapse, the dollar collapsing. Geez, upheaval in the streets. I like to see a little bit of rioting going on in Washington, D.C. and throwing a few people out of there. I think it also follows along the line with the first question with disclosure. As Miriam pointed out to begin with, if the government gets a hold of disclosure, as we know, they're very good at twisting things around. That could actually spark a cataclysmic event of our own making, reminiscent and of much more worse than the race wars we had in the 60s. What am I doing about it? I still maintain what I said in the first Project Camelot video I ever did. I maintain that I stay mobile. I don't stay in one place very often. The other thing I could add is if we go through the earth changes that many people have talked about and I've touched on briefly, you don't want to be in one place. You want to be able to be mobile, to be able to pack up and move at a minute's notice and have a safe haven to go to and then leave it when necessary. I'm not one of those people that believe in hoarding 2 and 3 years worth of food, guns, and ammunition because it's not going to do you any good. If you have a house full of guns, food, and ammunition, and your house collapses, it's not really doing you much good, right? What I would say is each and every person has to look at themselves and their own situation and plan accordingly to that. If you're a single person in your 20s, you want to plan one way. If you're 40 with kids, you want to plan a second way. So that's what I think needs to be done.
Duncan, thank you. So I want you to nominate the next person to answer the same question. I want you to nominate the next person to answer the same question.
Oh, for the same question?
Yeah. Which one of this panel here?
Hey, Mary.
Hi. Over the next 12 months, I think there's going to be a lot of changes over the next 12 months. Leading up to the end of the year, closer to, what month are we in? September? Late October, middle November, there's going to be some changes in governments around the world. I believe that that situation is going to be the same as it is in society, where people are choosing a side. And there's going to be some splits. There's been alliances with certain, countries from country to country. Those alliances are going to all of a sudden turn and say, you know what, we don't want to do business with you to the extent that we have. They're not going to be cutting each other off, but I think there's going to be some drastic changes in that regard near the end of the year. Leading into next year, I think that there is a really strong possibility that sometime around July or August, there's going to be an event worldwide that's going to have an effect on the hearts of humanity. Whatever that is, I don't know. I just know that there's something coming next year that's going to affect all of us. I kind of get a bit nervous when people ask for dates on things and what exactly might be coming down, because time and the understanding of time is not set. Timelines that people talk about are in constant change. And the major factor in all of that is who? Could somebody in this audience tell me what affects that? Somebody. Right. Thank you. It's all of us. So it's really difficult to say exactly what it is that's going to happen, exactly when it's going to happen, so I try to stay away from it, because actually that brings me to a really important point, and I thank you. When we talk about a date, an actual date, and say that this is the exact date that something is going to happen, when it doesn't, I think that we do a great injustice to ourselves. In the process of disclosure, and in the process of trying to gain the credibility that we need in this community. So again, a word of caution that we need to be aware that these things are markers, that they are intuitions, that they are coming from information from all directions, whether they're physical or spiritual. For myself, I've actually made a very big change in my life, and I guess this is the time for Miriam saying a lot of things she hasn't said yet, so I'll share it here at Camelot. I've been waiting for a very, very long time for a message, and that message has come. And I've been wondering how I'm going to share this message without making people nervous. I have known for 21 years that I would have a message that it was time for me to leave Vancouver, British Columbia, because it's on the coastline. And I started having dreams about being told by my tall blonde contacts that it was time to leave. And absolutely everything in my life, over and over and over again through these dreams, kept saying that it was time for me to leave. And even when I would make a decision, I would say, oh, okay, and I'd try to like do a negotiation with them, like literally. Okay, I'll stay here for 3 months, I'll get through this, and then I'll go, okay. And then I'd left. And I went somewhere else, and I said, okay, I think, can I stay 1 month past this date that you gave me? It was like everything was changed immediately, because they gave me a date that they said that they wanted me to leave Vancouver, which is already passed, by the way. And the day that I decided I would stay a month longer, that very day, I received an email from a stranger that said in the email, quite close to my visions and dreams, the exact same thing, which was her contacts coming and standing in front of her, telling her, you have to leave immediately right now. And she was very distraught about that. So I'm making some pretty big preparations and changes this year in result of my contacts, which told me to leave Vancouver. But I don't want people to panic about that. It means for me, my time there is done. It means that if there is something coming, it's coming. It doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow. It could still happen 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. It could still happen, or it could happen in this very moment. What it means is that for me personally, I received this message to go, and so I listened. So there's some really big changes that are coming next year. I think that collectively we need to make this gathering happen, and we need to push this, the different subjects that need to be addressed. One of them is definitely disclosure. I've been sharing a little bit more in my interviews that I've had recently about disclosure, trying to point people in the right direction for that, because disclosure will touch on every single aspect of life itself, from religion to food production, to the way that we live and the energy that we have. So disclosure is very important to the entire movement of humanity and movement into a better place. So get your seeds in order, and I'm constantly talking about that, but pay attention to that and start researching what it is that's happening to the world's seeds and our food production, because it's it's an extremely important issue. And so for myself, I already have my seed bank, and I'm going to build on that again this year. So know that I'm making a lot of personal changes because of the information that I've received. And emotionally, we need to prepare ourselves.